Hey everybody, welcome back to another one of me flailing in Photoshop. I threw some jazz in the background here today because sometimes it's dead air, and I thought this would be kind of nice. I can get out my radio voice and talk to you smoothly while we're working in Photoshop. And today we're going to have one of these pictures here of a ballerina I shot recently, and had her in the studio as a guest through a friend of a friend. And we're going to be doing something Halloween-y with this. So, haven't practiced this, and this is what I would be doing normally, but I thought it would be kind of cool to kind of see the process unfold as we work on it. So that's the purpose behind what we're doing today. So as you saw at the beginning there, I do have some new channel sponsors, and these are the people that keep the channel coming. So obviously I have to thank them formally. So here you go. And we have our very first print sponsor. That's Malcolm Tully. So every month I'm going to send him a signed print. This is something new that I've started, and I do have galleries that do sell my work. So this is actually a really kind of a cool thing I've started to offer. And so Malcolm, if you're watching the stream, you need to send me a message so I can get your address to send you print. So we're going to start to do that. And we just got Arthur Bradway just joined the channel here during the warm-up. And David says, yes, thank you for the smooth Scott there. But he just joined, so he is not on this slide because he beat me to the punch by joining just at the beginning here. So welcome, Arthur. So what we're going to do today is we're going to argue with this thing. And so I have several here. Now we're going to start in Capture One, but if you're not a Capture One user, that's fine because we're going to be in here for about 3 seconds. And we're going to go right into Photoshop after some minor adjustments to exposure. Now, if you are a person who comes to this channel often, and if you're a supporter of this channel, you need to get on our Discord server because you can chat with me on there. We text all day long. We share pictures. We share work. And you get tips and tricks and other things like that. So that is a free service, obviously, in this. If you're not familiar with Discord, it's kind of a voice chat and video chat. And I've been doing a lot of image critique for people as well. As they get ready for the competitions. So I've got some options here for images, and these are the ones I've kind of shortlisted down to. And I'm thinking I want to do either this one or this one. These are my two options, and I'm kind of leaning toward this one a bit. So what my plan is we're going to do kind of a skull up here forming out of the powder. So it's going to look like almost she's like the powder is the skull, and that's my plan. So we're gonna see how I pull that off. Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of these two. So now we've got down to these two choices, and it's just hand position and hair more than anything else. And the cloud is about the same. So I'm thinking I'm gonna go with the one with a little bit of hair in it, just because it's a little more interesting. So in here, we're gonna do some exposure control first of all, and let me know if the music is too loud. By the way, it should just be barely there. So we're just going to do a little bit of exposure control here so that we get what we want going in. And it's a little on the dark side, and that's okay because this is more of a Halloween-y image, so I'm okay with that. I do want to see this curve though. We do care about this because the normal exposure would be somewhere in here. Maybe I need to do something like this a little bit, so it's not completely dark. Let's do that. We can always darken it later, but we can't brighten it later because once we render these pixels, then they're gone for good. By the way, if you are a Capture One user and you don't use the levels thing, this is actually a pretty cool way to do the same thing. You can also use the auto, which I never use because it's kind of useless. But anyway, I'll probably pull that over a little bit, something like this. Okay, and then let's go to Photoshop. And we're going to call this, so let's have a name, Chelsea. Very simple. All right. So we're going to flail around in Photoshop here a bit. Now, as I said, I haven't done this picture before. I just have an idea. So you're going to watch me kind of figure out how to make this idea happen or fail at. One of the two is going to happen because we're going to do this. All All right, so the first thing you notice that there's a light in my scene, and there's a light in pretty much every scene I do. It's because I like this distance, and so the light tends to end up in a lot of my situations, and that's fine. So we're just gonna get rid of that this way. I'm just gonna make a strange thing here, and we have under in here you have content aware fill. Now, I would normally use the shift backspace to do this, but we need some control over where the sample's coming from here. We'll see how this is going to work. That's not too bad. We don't want it to get any of this powder in here, though. Or this. So it should display here what we're going to get. And that looks really good. So I just hit OK. So that's kind of a guided version of content aware fill, which if you've seen me before, it's just shift backspace and I just hit enter, and what we get is what we get. But in this case, I want to make sure that it didn't do anything odd. So that's good enough for what we're going to need here, because we're going to add a lot in here, I'm imagining. The other thing I did not do before we came over here is I didn't straighten it, which is driving me a little wacky. See, it's a little crooked. And I want this to be taller than, like, I don't need this foreground. Think about your composition here. Do you need all this foreground? No, it's not telling a story. It's telling us that we need to sweep our floor. So, isn't that funny? It's so easy. I use it all the time. So I'm going to pull this up here, and I'm going to check the box here. It says content aware. And what that's going to do is attempt to take all this checkered area and kind of do the exact same thing, figure out what should be there. And it should be pretty easy because it is just edge. It might not love me here, but we'll fix that if we have to. I should actually duplicate this first. Oops. I'm going to duplicate this whole thing first, just before we make this crop adjustment, in case things go horribly wrong. I'm just going to pull it up, and again, I want more space, and I do want to constrain this to probably a 2x3. That's what modern digital cameras shoot. If you're an 8x10 fan, that is a antique frame size, not a modern frame size. So 8x12 is what most cameras shoot. So I try and convince my customers that an 8x12 or a 16x24 be a wall art print. We don't do 16x20 unless you want to lose the top of the baby's head or their feet. So we're just going to do this and check content aware fill and see what happens. And it should be good enough. Again, we're going to be putting a lot of stuff in here, so we don't really care. It might be interesting on the floor here. We'll find out. What do you think of the jazz? Should we go jazz? Do we do other things? I figured jazz was easy because it's no vocals, probably. Although, it's, I don't know. Hey, look at that. That's not too bad. So we have an issue here that we have a mark that repeated. So you got to be really careful with that, especially if you decide to compete with this in a print competition. So I'm going to use healing brush here, and I'm just going to probably just go over this with something like that. That's terrible. There we go. And same thing in the corner. And you might have trouble in the corner depending on if there's transparency off to the edge. You're going to get a glow. Yeah, I like jazz. Jazz is easy. Okay, same thing here. We're just going to put a marquee around this, and then we're going to do shift backspace. This is the normal one. And choose content aware fill and click OK. And that should be good enough. There. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. And it's not. So you can just grab the patch tool because this is small enough and drag it over here somewhere, and that should work. If you get a line, just do it again. And this is an artifact here. This is it's not really there. I don't think. I'm convincing myself it's not there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's there. But you see that little edge? Oh, maybe there's something there. No, not anymore. Okay. All right, so what I want to do is I want to put a skull in here. So let's go find a skull. So I'm going to open a new window here, a new tab, and I'm just going to type in, and I'll bring it over in a second, skull illustration. super simple. I want something like this, I think. Something like this. So I'm just going to borrow this. Because we're not going to use it, per se. We're going to use it as a guide. So, something like this, perhaps. Again, I'm just kind of winging it in here. Something like that. And I'm gonna do a little cute trick where I'm gonna blend this backwards. So use the blend if, you just click somewhere on the layer strip, but not in the thumbnail, because that's a different set of options. Just anywhere in the strip. And then depending if you want the foreground to fade or you want the background to fade, it's which one of these you start with. So we're gonna use the foreground. And I'm just gonna pull this back to a certain way, and then I'm gonna hold on the Alt key and split this so that I can pull it back a little bit further. Something like that. So it just kind of gives me something to look at here. Okay, and we're going to do a lot of messing with what we have. Again, remember, I'm just winging this. I haven't done this before. It's just an idea I had. So what I want to do is I'm going to move this up, I think. So, or at least get more than one. So there's a couple different ways to do this. I think the easiest way is just to grab it and probably Control J to put it on its own layer and then move it up. Looks like hair on the skull now, doesn't it? So, so could do something like this. And again, you can use the same trick. If you double click here, you can pull it backwards depending on if you want the background to fade in. So if we don't want that edge, for example, we can split that and pull that in a bit. Something like that. It's an option. Put a mask on that layer, and we're gonna do this fill thingy here. It doesn't have to be perfect because again, we're gonna add so much to this image that it's gonna be very different by the time we're done with it, I assure you. Okay, so it's not quite the right shape, and that's okay. I'm gonna make sure that I don't accidentally use this layer. I'm gonna lock it so that I don't accidentally do something stupid with it at some point. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. Okay. And now I want to do is I want to, I'm gonna actually use this. I'm gonna use this layer mask and say, go ahead, that's fine. And then we're gonna do, put a box. I'll just do Control Shift X. This is one I use all the time. If you don't know what that is, it is liquefy. And I want to see kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just going to pull this out a bit so that it kind of conforms more to the shape of the skull. Okay. That's what we kind of did there. Just a quick little oomph. Okay. And then I need to get rid of some of this other in here. Now there's a bunch of ways to do this, but I think the way I'm going to tackle it is I have some powder brushes that that I've had forever. And I buy all my brushes, by the way. I'm not, you can also go to websites like Brusheezy. I don't even know how to say it. They have brushes for sale and or for free. And I'm just looking for something that I can use to kind of help draw parts of this. That's okay, isn't it? All right, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to use it as kind of an eraser as well. So I know this is my background color, so if I sample and I draw with this, I'm kind of erasing this. So I'm going to put this all on a new layer. I'm going to beat myself to the punch, I already have one. So I know I don't need that right in there, and probably where the teeth are here. Here a little bit, and I can go and pick again from this and say I do want it in here a bit. And we don't want to make it exact, right? We want to make this just kind of there. And I'm going to put this in the background because I need to do a little bit more This song is a little on the aggressive side, I've decided. It's too much. Here we go. It's the same stupid song. Okay, so again, I'm just drawing on here as I'm going. I'm gonna darken the eyes a bit. And we're gonna pick a different brush. We don't want to stay with the same brush for long. That's a big brush. It's too much. That's a lot of flour. Somebody got hurt by that. Got hit by it. There we go. That's interesting. So I'll do some white in here, perhaps. Again, just doing it on a different layer in case I don't like it later. Like, yeah, I don't like it right now. Although, I don't mind it, like, down in here. Ish. So if we pick, let's pick the white off the floor there so it's the right color. Just as an example. So we're doing it on a separate layer because we don't know what we're going to like. Throw that in there. And then go and grab just a regular brush. And put a mask on there. And get rid of what doesn't work. I'm not a fan of opacity usually, but this will work here. It's too much of an obvious edge, it looks goofy. Just kind of bring this in here like this. Maybe. I don't know. We're gonna label these. Powder. Left hand. Just so I don't go erase at some point. All right, let's see what other brushes we have here. This is looking like like presidential hair, isn't it? All right. We're not going to talk politics on this channel. Okay, what else we got here? What's this one? It's just a bit too much. And I'm looking for something that's kind of soft and barely there. These are very, very aggressive powder pictures. Hey, that's nice. I like that. And I think I'm going to go with whatever color we already have here. I do have to be careful that we don't mix colors too much because the powder is, I mean, it's white, but it wasn't lit exactly white. So go and make it a little bit brighter. Put this on a separate layer again. I'm just playing with other ways to make this skull more obvious. It's one of those things we're going to be building up over time, right? Don't expect this to be done in 3 seconds. And that's okay. So what's everybody doing on this fine Sunday? Aside from watching Scott flail in Photoshop. I want to use this layer as a mask. Hit the F key. That's a fun one. If you hit the F key, things start to go away, and you're like, what happened? So I'm going to use this brush to actually limit the brush bit. Okay. Maybe do it on, what's this one? This is the jaw. We need more powder on that layer. Finishing up a project from August. I do have two high school seniors from last year that have just reordered more pictures, which is nice. Didn't expect that, so that's a nice little bunch of work all of a sudden. Not a very busy year for seniors for me. I'm okay with that. I did get some really good ones though. The seniors I have were fun. That's really important to me. So I don't know if this first one with all the hair here is my favorite yet. Like, I don't know if that one's gonna be what we keep. It's a little too purposeful, I think. So you can kind of see what we're doing so far. Like, we're working on it. Looks more like Santa right now, so we'll have to fix that a bit. Let's see here. Just looking at different shapes. That's a big one. But could we throw that one way in the background here? Or would it be this? Would it be the other way around? Would it be that she threw the powder up? Maybe. That's that kind of gives a reason for why stuff is going on. Plus it eliminates the need for us to have this hair layer here, because we can just kind of hint at it that way. I kind of like that, actually. And then for the jaw, we just need to remove some of this. So let's do that. Let's try this. If you have any questions, by the way, just feel free to throw them into the chat. I'm just going to sit here and happily work on this thing. I was going to work on it anyway. Hey, check it out. Someone's on Discord. So if you're not on our Discord, you need to be. Because it's a really great way to interact with people. And as I say, I'm always on it. So if there's a question, just throw it on Discord. Right, I don't know that I like that last one I put in there, but I do know we need to do something similar to that. So let's find another, this will work, another powder. Just kind of make a little, we use this a couple times maybe. Throwing random stuff in here. Yeah, not that one. A good selection of brushes is a nice thing to have, and start collecting them. That looks a little weird. Discord. Discord is a it's used by a lot of gamers. It's like a text and voice chat. I call it a service. Yeah, it's a very simple simple way to communicate with people. Where's my skull? I need to label that layer. Here it is. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know that I'm sold on that big one now. I kind of like where we're going here. This is a bit. This is the big one. Yeah, I think I like it without the big one. I think I like where it's going here, though. So this is one of our dark layers, and this is a dark layer. So we might have to adjust these a bit. You can see they're a little bit darker than they probably should be for the background. So I'm just going to put these in a group. What's cool about it, if you put them in a group, is then you can use like a hue and saturation adjustment layer and then clip it to the group instead of each individual layer. So then you can adjust these without having to go in and adjust each one. So if I just want a little bit brighter, looks a little more interesting that way. And I can put all the other ones. Put all the other ones in a separate container here. Oh yeah, order is important. If we want one on the top, you know, or if you want it under these dark ones, so when we change the layer order, we get a different result. So I kind of like that better. Yeah, Judith, you should definitely be in the Discord. I think you'd like it. It's better than trying to text somebody constantly with other things on Facebook or whatever, however else we've communicated. Because I'm usually not on Facebook often. Okay, let's do another layer here. And so print competition on, well, tomorrow actually is the last day for submission in Illinois. So David, I assume you're going to be doing that. That's PPANI, Northern Illinois. If not, you should be. Just going to say it. See, this would work, but you notice the difference in grain size. So if we use this, we'd have to blur it. But I think the granules are too big. It just doesn't look, it looks kind of fake. Yes, I know. It's going to look fake because it's fake, but we don't have to start there. It's not bad. Use that maybe a couple times. Yeah, rotating the brushes, mirroring the brushes, doing all these different things up here help a lot. Yeah, you should be. It's a good group too, and they're fierce competitors. They're super talented group of people. I've learned a lot being down there. We have one here in Wisconsin somewhere too, but I don't know about it. So we're going to put another layer in the dark here, and I'm just going to add a bit to the eyes here. How's this looking? It's getting there. It looks like a poodle right now. So there's a baby poodle over her head. She's reminiscing about a dog. Near Halloween. Which, it's weird. We don't want that to happen. Let's make it scarier, shall we? And you know what? It may not be scary. I may end up with a poodle here. I hadn't planned ahead as to, what if I'm not able to pull this off? Because I want this. This is what I think these project-based things are more interesting. Because this is what I do. I mean, I start a project like this, and maybe it works and maybe it doesn't, but I just have a thought. And it's that let your creativity kind of do its thing. This maybe, and throw a mask on this, and grab one of these and just kind of put this in the dark again. Not quite black. We gotta be careful we don't use exactly black. So it's not. All right. All right, so now I've been using my mouse the whole time, and I'm going to pick up my Wacom tablet now because I want to do a little bit more. So I'm using a brush here that if I draw a line with a brush, it looks like this, right? But I like this brush, so I'm going to go into the panel here. Not this panel. Airbrush. I want this panel. And I want to change this so that it uses scattering here. And I don't want it too scattery. Then I want to change the shape. We want to jitter the size a bit. We want to jitter the angle a whole lot. Jitter the roundness maybe. Something like this. Yeah, you should get a Wacom tablet for Christmas, Judith, if you don't have one by then. Yeah, it makes life a lot faster, for sure. And brushes are very cool. Brushes are black and white. Although there's some cool things you can do with the mixer brush. I bet that a lot of people don't know. I might actually do a whole thing on the mixer brush because there's stuff you can do with that people ignore or don't know about, I should say. How am I looking here? Let's turn this skull off. It looks super fake. But it's a start. So we got this. Let's blur this a bit, maybe. I'll do blur. I'm just blurring that dark layer I just drew just a bit. Okay, let's just try. So it can only get better from here, right? I mean, that's the way you kind of look at it. Let's duplicate the entire thing into a stamp visible layer here, and I'm going to go back into liquify and see if I can't make it look a little more evil. Something. Ooh, careful, Scott. You just made her. You just reconstructed her whole face. Let's try that again. I gotta be careful not to do that. I went a little low there and started a eunuch on her, and I was like, "Hey, that's bad." Yeah, I gotta pay attention. So I'm doing is I'm pulling the eyes out on the edges, right? And I don't want the head to be symmetrical, so I'm just grabbing the top of it here and pulling it up. Just so it looks a little different. And I don't care if this is, again, if it's not perfect, I don't care. And then I want to pull the middle down because that's always scary, right? So. Something like that. That's better. Yeah, that's better. All right, we don't need the skull anymore because obviously we've used it a bunch, so we'll kiss that goodbye. Gotta make sure you turn the lock off or it won't let you delete it. And all these other layers we have here to make this thing aren't as important anymore because we did kind of smash it all together to make one. So I'm just gonna stick them all in a folder. Because I think we want to change a few things. One of the things we want to look at is that this is too bright, right? But it's not really there on the original. Where are you? Here. So what I can do is I can lower the opacity of this a bit. Make it more of a combination of things. Something like that. Perhaps. Same with this group here. Just trying to find a happy medium where it looks kind of legit. Something like that. Okay. Let's do a few more pieces of powder here, and then we'll probably do some texture-y thingy, because it's me. I'm going to go back to my mouse, because this is where the welcome tablet would drive me nuts. I'm just playing around. Like, I'm just throwing it on here to see what works. None of those things work. Let's try... What I don't like is the difference in whites here. Like, that drives me a little batty. But we might be fixing that anyways. We throw a texture on it. Let's put a texture on it just to see kind of what happens. Let's do that. So I have this whole layer here. This is our whole picture, but it kind of half speed. So we gotta make sure we make a separate version of that. So Control-Alt-Shift-E. Select subject. Because you know how I love my textures, so. And I want the ground, and I don't want this, and I don't want this. So, by the way, so this coming Sunday, we're gonna have this ballerina in the studio for a bit of a Halloween. I'm gonna do a body paint, and there's one spot left, Judith. Just saying. So if you're ever in the Milwaukee area, we do events at my studio. They're very small right now, and you get your temperature taken at the door, and you can wear a mask if you'd like. But that's it's kind of a fun thing we do to help keep ourselves sane, so we can create and do some neat things. So all we do is select a mask. I'm going to hold on Shift though, so I get the legacy version. I just prefer that one. And I'm just trying to find a little bit of her in here, and this may not work real well because she is the same as the background. That's good enough, actually, right there. This is okay. We're gonna see how this works. Okay, I'm gonna save that, and oops, save selection. I call it 1 because I'm lazy, and then we're gonna do bridge. Let's find our bridge. Thanks for joining me on this fine Sunday. If you haven't clicked the like button and you like this, please take a second to do that. I appreciate it. Bridge. Looking at pieces of kelp. So I'm gonna do another piece, but I also use I'm learning a piece of 3D software called Blender. I've been using a different one for years called Modo. Before that, I was using MicroStation. So I've been a 3D guy for 20 years or whatever. And I used to do it for a job at architecture. I used to work at a prison design firm, actually, in Peoria. And I don't do that anymore, obviously, but the whole 3D thing has kind of come back to me now to say, hey, maybe I should do that. So I'm going to actually combine Blender with photography. So look forward to that series of struggles. That should be next. So if you have any interest in learning Blender, I'm going to do those kind of live on the show here. On the show. My friend Brad Barton and I are actually going to start to do a podcast as well pretty soon on creativity, not just specifically Photoshop, but creativity in general. So I'm going to do my trick here where I put it about halfway. This is from my new pack. It is not yet released. It should be coming out here fairly soon. In fact, I can't really tell you why I haven't released it yet. I just haven't. We're going to do this trick. Quick way to make it look like a floor. And we got to make sure we throw a new crop on it to get rid of all this train wreck out here, because we're at where are we at, 641 meg. That's actually not too bad. Usually this would be hitting 1.5 gig by now, so we're going to delete those pixels. Yeah, so David, I think you're going to like it because you can take that stuff from Blender right into Unreal Engine. So Unreal Engine is, yeah, I mean, that's kind of an easier step, actually. If you've got it modeled already, then you can take it in there. Yeah, I think you're going to get into that as well. It's something I've had a passion for forever, and I just haven't pursued it recently. Which one of these do I like better? Maybe this one, soft light. And we need to take our in here what we did before, and we need to put a mask on there. And that looks super terrible. Oh, that's okay. Let's grab a brush. Grab a soft round brush here, and that is not a soft round brush. That is an abomination brush. What is my soft round brush? I think textures help almost every image. I really love them. They add so much to an image. Just gotta be careful. It doesn't look like she's translucent here. And I don't mind this texture going over her, actually. I thought it would bother me, but it doesn't. It does here. Okay, so that looks weird. It looks weird because there's a texture on her, right? So let's just get rid of the texture. Let's just go in here. This will blow your mind. Filter, blur, average. Actually, I'm going to make this a... I'm going to delete this layer mask and start over. But we're going to make a smart layer first. Yeah, it's got a lot going on. We need to change the color a bit, but I like this. So far, so good. Okay, then we do filter, blur, average, and that will get rid of the goofiness inside of there. This is one of those Scott tricks. I've never seen anybody use it but me, but I'm sure Enmesh will have it on his channel now. He's a good guy, by the way. I know him in real life. We actually speak at a lot of the same conferences together. So. Something like this. All right. And I need to change the color on that bad boy, so we're going to put a hue and saturation adjustment layer on that. Take the life out of it a bit. Maybe I'm just going to desaturate it completely. Like I like the monochromatic look. We could also try adding a color here, but I think I'd rather do that in Capture One than I would in here. Like this. And we need to blur this. We're just going to filter, blur. Come on. For some reason my layer got deselected. Gaussian blur 6. I almost always use 6 when it's with my A7R III. When I had my Nikon, I used 4 a lot. It really depends on the resolution. Someday I'm going to upgrade to the A7R4. I should say I'm in the A7R III. When I upgrade to an A7R4 someday, I'll probably end up using an 8. I don't know. Hey, check that out. Disk is full. Well, let's go fix that super fast, shall we? I don't even know how that happens. Disk full. Which disk is full? Oh, it is full. Check it out. They don't lie. So we're going to use some nice little Chrome extension that clears data from cache. Let's see if that helps us. Did that do anything? Maybe. Not sure. I'm going to try and save it again here. If that doesn't work, we'll do plan B. Which means there's probably some giant file on my on my desktop. Oh, that worked. Okay. Okay, so that solved the problem. Chrome, I find, tends to put a really large cache on the machine, so I think that did help a lot. Now this thing here is I don't love that. Well, let's go get rid of that. So I'm just going to select it and use a patch tool and see if I can just pull this up a bit. See what kind of line we get from it. That's not too terrible. Let's try that again. What's nice here is you can actually feather the edge. So we'll put like 20 on here. You got to draw it again, but just draw it like this. And then we can use the patch tool. The patch tool does not have a feather, but if you use the marquee tool first, it will let you feather it. So you feather the marquee tool first. Oh, this is going to be harder. I should have done this before I added that powder thing. Yeah, well, lesson learned. So put this on here. Patch tool, pull it up, see how bad it's going to look. It's not good. Let's try it down here. Okay, well, it's not terrible, but it's terrible. So let's just, we're gonna have to fix this though. So I think I'm just gonna use the stamp here, go in and stamp it a bit. Try and make it look a little bit more legit without it looking like I'm repeating things. That's not terrible. Yeah, I should have done that first. It didn't bother me back then. Now it bothers me. Okay. So I think that's good. Let's throw one more layer on top of here and add a little bit more powder. And then we're going to probably say this is good. And then we're going to go back to capture one. Well, actually, I'll probably do some dodging and burning here too, just so I kind of can add a little bit of oomph to it. Wish you could view these bigger. I think these are as big as they go right now. Yeah. It's amazing how old the brush interface feels in this product, considering all the other things that it does and does so well. This feels like the most forgotten part of the product to me. Yeah, let's add some of that in here because we know that's a little goofy. Something like that. I don't know. Maybe. You know what I kind of want to do? I want to put one of those goofy arcane circles that I love so much, which is a brush I bought so many years ago. I bought this back in, I don't even remember when. 2009, probably. I know a lot of people use them as well, but I actually paid for them. I loved them enough, and I'm like, you know what I want? I want them. So I bought them. I'll put them on a separate layer here, and we're going to grab kind of this darker color. And I'm going to have to change, again, using the blending mode to mess with this if I want to keep this here. I'm just going to, again, we're just playing with it. I don't know if I like it yet or not. Yeah, so I'm probably going to pull on this side here. I'm not real happy with this jazz song right now. We're gonna skip that one. So again, it's experimentation. You try things, and if you hate them, you hate them. It's okay. If you don't try. Does that even do anything? That's the next question. Did it do anything? Let's just set it to darken. Not really. Okay, I kind of like it, but I think it can be a little scarier. So I think we're going to go back into liquefy here. Bigger brush. It's pulling her hair too a little bit. Careful not to grab her face when we're liquefying this. Maybe something like that. I'm gonna hit save because I haven't done that yet. We'll see if there's room in the drive for this one. For some reason, it tries to use my C drive for making smart objects, where I have it set to specifically not use my C drive because it's a smaller M.2 drive, very fast but tiny. And it's not my scratch drive because we don't want that. But it tries to use a temp directory there, and it epically fails. What do I think here? Do I like what is that? That's bad. I saw that there before too, and I did nothing about it. I should have. A couple different ways to tackle that. We're just gonna. Nope, I didn't like that. All right, we're over 4 gig already, so. So we have to flatten this a bit, and you see we're at 2.68 gigs. So we know we don't need. Well, we don't need this one, and we don't need all those powder layers. We can just get rid of a bunch of these. 1.15 gig, that's better. Well, it's not exactly what I wanted, but I'm not unhappy with it. It was fun to try it and to play with the layers and mess around. Yeah. All right, let's go into Capture One and see what we got going on here. All right, so in here, I'm just gonna mess with this a bit. Just to kind of yank on it a bit and see what we can get. Something like that, and then throw a color grade on it. So I always go all the way around because you never know. I think it's screaming for right in here. How much? How much teal do you want? Want a little bit of teal? Like that. Mid-tone. I don't know that I like any mid-tone in it. Highlight, same thing. Do I like any highlight here? Yeah, maybe. Maybe a little bit of, that adds a little bit to the color of the powder a bit. Something like this. And then the master. I understand Lightroom's getting this getting this kind of a color balance thing coming in as well. Although I can put mine in a separate layer and do all kinds of crazy stuff with it, but aha. Yeah, I like the teal too. No, I'm gonna do something weird here. Let's do a new filled adjustment layer and put a luminosity range on this, like way over here. So I'm just playing with the brightness of that thing. Like a lazy man's dodge and burn there. If you like this video, click the like button, by the way. I see 5 of you in here and only 2 likes. Now, either 3 of you are grumpy or you forgot about it, which is fine. That's your way of clapping, by the way. So on YouTube, that's your way of showing appreciation. So clicking that like button. Go back a little bit less teal, and it was a bit aggressive. Now the question is, how's it look in black and white? So I'm just going to create a new variant. And let's go black and white. That's her face. We're gonna leave that alone. That's what we're gonna do with that. There. That's kind of the hair. There shouldn't be any green, blue. I kind of like it brighter, actually. Don't ask me why, I just do. Okay, so then we got 2 options. Monochromatic or non-monochromatic. Judith votes for black and white. Yeah. I don't know. I'm torn. I do like the hint of color in this one though, in her face, but the black and white does seem to lend itself a little more ethereal look to it. So let's do that, and then let's do a let's do one more layer, and we'll put a gradient on this one like this. Something like this, and throw a clarity on that. Something like that, perhaps. Just a little bit of a punch. I don't want the ground to be too much, but I want to balance this. I don't want you to just look right here. I want you to look at the whole thing. So just adjusting the balance a bit. Okay, I think, yeah, I think so. It's still a little bright on the top, though, to me. Do one more gradient. And let's pull the brightness. We don't need that one. Brightness down just a bit. And maybe the highlight. Just playing around, see what see what we get. Yeah, I kind of like pulling that back a bit, something like that. There you go. What are the odds that she threw that in such a way that it looked like a skull? What are the odds? Well, that was kind of fun. I'm happy with it now. Like it, although I kind of wish I'd filled this out over here a little bit. I don't know, do I like this little Z thing? I like that it's not perfect. But even on close inspection, like, it looks okay. It's you can still see the powder in the air and the flower. It doesn't look bad. And I tell you, one of the reasons that this looks okay at least in my mind, is we didn't use opacity. So many people reach for opacity, and if you can partially see through something, it just doesn't look right. It just never tends to work for me. So I like this texture. I'm gonna put this up top here now. And maybe let's rotate it. Let's do just one more thing here. Control T, and we're just gonna flip it horizontally and then put it back. That'll take a minute to save. And we're almost done. Just trying to add a bit more to it. Yeah, that's okay. It was worth the attempt. I like it. I'm happy with it. That's what I wanted. And now that we come back here and I look at the color again, it's a little weird. That's one of the reasons why I love doing these and then resting my eyes and coming back later and looking at it, because you know it's got a color now. Use that teal too much. It's got that kind of Brad Frankenstein kind of feel to it. Warmth. Do we like that warmth in the? Maybe you don't like the warmth now. So yeah, I gotta walk away from it for a while and then come back to it and then figure if it's exactly what I like. But I think this is gonna be good. So I'm gonna walk away from it for a while and come back to it later. My watermark on it here real fast. Something like that. Make sure my information's on it. There we go. Well, that was fun. Yeah, I like it too. It's got a good, nice little edgy. And then what we did here inside of Capture One to kind of turn it to black and white was a nice, nice bit of oomph. That clarity helped a bit on the floor, I think. Yeah, well, that was good. Well, there you go. A fine Sunday. So I have a high school senior session to retouch today, and that's very boring, but gotta do it. And then I have another big project I've been working on for about 2 months now that's almost done, that I can't share because it's client product stuff. But then I'm going to start working on this blender one, and that's going to be an underwater one featuring that big metal helmet. That's not really a big metal helmet. It's made of foam that I made. I'm going to be working on that. And we're going to be using the Discord a lot more. We're going to start to do image critiques on Discord, but we're going to have you on the channel here as well. So your voice will be, with my voice, we'll be looking at the same image, discussing how to make things a little bit better. So if you're interested in that, you need to definitely jump on the Discord. There's voice chat for image critique, and then there's a private voice area for all the people who help sponsor the channel. So that's there for them. Got a nice group of people in there, so now it's pretty cool place to hang out. Okay, well, I like that, and I'm really happy with the end result. So that was really cool. For those who are joining late, we went from this to this. So that was what, an hour-ish. Not too bad. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I do have a couple others in here that I'll probably end up doing too, like this one. This might have even been easier because we don't have that big bright spot there. Yeah, we got a bunch of really fun pictures for her. She's gonna, as I say, she's gonna be at the studio next Sunday. We have one spot left, so if you're looking for entertainment, that's gonna be fun. I'm gonna body paint Katie. I have a monochromatic thing in mind. So we're going to do that. And it's a 4-hour shoot. If you're interested in that, though, you need to message me on Facebook. If you're not friends with me on Facebook, you can always just message me. Anyway, that's obviously a very small group, and it's in Milwaukee. So if you're not in Milwaukee, I'm going to actually plan a couple of events. Imaging USA is going to be moving to an all virtual thing coming up, and we're going to be doing a small studio audience for that. So if you're registered for Imaging USA and you'd like to be part of the studio audience, because I'm teaching a 7-hour pre-con on lighting, Capture One, and then Photoshop, we're going to do a whole project from start to finish, and it's hands-on. At least it's going to be kind of hands-on because we got to shoot it, but it's for the virtual audience, so partially hands-on. But if you're interested in that, that'd be awesome to have you over there. So everybody, have a fun Sunday, and I will catch you later. Everybody stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.